All right, we are live. Let me just check the sound. And let's wait for a few people to gather around for rule number 4 of the 10 rules of being claimed. So welcome everyone. Just waiting for everybody to gather as I take off my earrings, because I'm also recording this as a podcast episode. So while you're waiting, tell me where you're coming from and whether you're following my lives every day for all the rules. So today is rule number 4. So before we begin, let me just start the recording and we'll get started. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to rule number 4 of the 10 Rules of Being Claimed series with me, Anna Rova. And for those of you who listen to the podcast, know that I'm also doing this as an Instagram live. So if you're listening, this is going to be saved as a video on my IGTV. So let's get into it. Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for coming on. Yeah, somebody says they're from Canada listening to my podcast. Amazing. Okay, so ladies, today we talk about rule number 4, which is he's not your other half. And if you're curious about the previous 3 rules, just scroll down in my IGTV, or actually if you're listening to the podcast, you can go up and re-listen to those. So I really recommend you listen to them in a sequential order. Yesterday, or in the previous episode, we talked about rule number 3, which is the rule of thirds. We had a lot of fun yesterday. So where we talked about, why it's important for any woman to date or see 3 men at a time when you create your dating funnel. Today, a very important rule again, rule number 4. He is not your other half. Oh my goodness, I love this rule, and I love talking about this to women, especially in the program. And by the way, those of you who are on Instagram, or if you listen to the podcast, I think you know who I am, but those of you who don't, again, I'm Anna Rova. I'm a feminine embodiment and femininity coach, and I run a very powerful program that helps successful single women attract committed masculine men. So he's not your other half. Let's discuss this. I see a lot of women post on Instagram or on Facebook, like, this, like our anniversary or something like that. And he's my everything. I'm so happy to be with this man. He's my everything. He's my rock. He's my best friend. He's my soulmate. He's my twin flame. He's my everything. Like, this is it. He fulfills all the roles. If you are a woman like that, comment below or let me know what you think about that, or whether you have caught yourself saying that. So that particular phrase or that particular mindset, when we think about men in relationships, in my opinion, is actually a dangerous place to be, simply because it puts a lot of expectations on our men. And in my program with women, I kind of it's all about paradigm shifts here when we talk about men in relationships and these 10 rules, because my intention here is to really tell you and share with you how I think about relationships and how I think about men. If you know me and my work, you know that I've spent a lot of time not only interviewing men one-on-one about women in relationships, but also researching the subject of polarity, of men, masculinity, femininity, and so on and so forth. So when we expect our men to fulfill all these roles, it leads us to disappointment. It leads us to unfulfilled expectations. And so if the rule is he's not your other half, which means that first and foremost is that there's this whole idea about, and since we're little girls, we've been taught, where's your other half? This whole concept of the other half, I don't stand by it, simply because it first and foremost, it tells us that, well, we're not whole and complete on our own, which is not true. We are whole, complete on our own. And the purpose of a relationship and to come together is to actually make our lives better when we come together. And especially for us women, I believe that a purpose of man to come into your life is to actually make your life a lot better than it is right now. And if he's not making your life a lot better, then why the hell are you with this man in the first place? It's time to move on. Of course, there's a lot of considerations there, but That's what needs to happen. So if you ask me, my decision, the decision to marry my husband was the best decision of my life, pretty much, if I look at it. Because honestly, I've made the best decision, because my life, and I wouldn't be where I am without him. I'm pretty sure that he's going to say the same thing about me. So it's not only, this was the best decision for me, it's also the best decision for him. So when we have this idea that he's my other half, it's somehow we're dividing ourselves and we feel incomplete without a relationship. And so we all know this phrase, right? You got to love yourself first before you love another, and so on and so forth. But it also, I feel like, goes deeper than that. When we put certain expectations, and when we expect our men to be our emotional tampons, a term that I didn't coin but I heard, which accurately describes how a lot of women actually think about men. And like me and my husband, we know very well that we are not best friends. And when women tell me, I want a best friend, I want a soulmate, I want a parent, I want a business partner, like he has to check all the boxes and everything, that's impossible and leads to a lot of disappointment, down the line. So know and understand, and this is my message to you, is that you're not broken, damaged, or incomplete without him, or if you're not in a relationship. People by themselves are complete, and as a woman you are complete. There's nothing wrong with you if you're not in a relationship, and the purpose to be in a relationship, again, is for your life to be enhanced tenfold. Shoot for the stars, land on the moon, right? So let's talk about this role priority that I want you to think about and understand. And one of the biggest things you can do is to set your man free, which is actually one of the most popular articles that I wrote, and a podcast episode as well, is to release him of that pressure to fulfill every single need that you have as a woman, and know that your man cannot fulfill all of your needs, and that he can actually only fulfill 10% of your tank. You probably read the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. It's a great book because it tells women that stop expecting your man to fulfill every single need. Find ways, and when I work with women in my program, I teach them or I suggest ways how you can find ways that you can fulfill your own needs, and how he can then come in and fill up your tank without having that pressure and the expectations for him to be a girlfriend and a partner and a parent and so on and so forth. So I want to introduce you to the idea of role priorities, something that I've learned from David Deida. I can't remember in which book, but basically it says that the recommendation here is very simple. In order to release that expectation, think about what are the roles that you currently play for each other if you are in a relationship, or if you're not, think about the roles that you'd like to play for each other and choose one and focus on that. That has been really helpful in my marriage, and that's what I also teach and guide women to do. So for example, let's say there's multiple roles that we're playing for each other. I'll give you my example with my husband. So we are co-parents, right? We have a beautiful little girl. We're co-parents. We're husband and wife. We are lovers. We are business partners. We might be friends, but we're definitely not friends with him. So we're playing all these roles together, right? And then you can say, he's also your support system and so on and so forth. So my recommendation would be to choose one role and focus on that completely. And then all the other roles are basically coming secondary. And so in this way, you do not focus on all the other roles and expect your partner to fulfill all of them 100%. So in my marriage, we didn't even decide on this, but because I am naturally inclined, like a lot of women, to think about relationships and connection and communication, all of that, I have chosen the role that we're going to play. And that, to me, think about what's important to you really in a partner. Do you want him to be your friend first and foremost? Do you want him to be a husband first and foremost? Is it important to you for him to be a co-parent first and foremost, or a business partner first and foremost? So you need to decide. There's no right or wrong answer, but you need to pick a role and really focus on that. With my marriage, we really focus on, I focus on being lovers. And, I think this is a pretty awesome role to have with your man, because because then when you when we focus on being lovers, I really pay attention to that, and I concentrate on not only creating the feminine masculine polarity in the relationship and in the bedroom, but then also really focusing on that and seeing how we can sustain it, right? So for us, the most important thing, for me, I don't think he's even thinking about all these things. Like, what is the role? Like, men do not think about this. It's concepts that women love to discuss, and that's why most of you are women here listening. By focusing on that role, actually, all the other roles kind of fade away. And I also, I'll share with you why we're not friends. A lot of women actually expect their men to be their best friends. I don't believe in that. I actually don't really believe in female-male friendships. I mean, there are female-male friendships, but that's very rare, simply because, when you are getting close with a person of another, of the opposite sex, and you're attracted to them, then magic happens, and it's like weird. With us, we're not friends. Like, I don't expect him to be my girlfriend. So when we say a friend, for women, it actually means girlfriend. I don't expect and I don't want him to be my girlfriend, and I then find ways or find girlfriends, like I have girlfriends who fulfill my emotional needs. So I don't expect him to listen to me as a girlfriend would be. I don't expect to even have conversations with him that I would have with a girlfriend. There's a different flavor of how I communicate with women, with my circle of girlfriends, and how I communicate with my men and other men. So when I focus on being a lover, first and foremost, and that relationship really is a priority for me, then everything else it doesn't fade away. Like, we're still husband and wife, we're still co-parents and everything, but I actually don't focus on that much. So my question to you right now, if you're listening or watching, comment, what do you feel like is the role that you really like your man to play, like number one, right? And it could be a husband, it could be a co-parent, really decide on that. But once you decide, know that other roles are going to take second place. So again, stop. And the expectation that a man will fulfill all of the roles and will fill all of your gaps. And I hear women say, he doesn't fulfill my needs. Well, what needs are those, and how can we actually find ways to fulfill those needs? A lot of women tell me, for example, that I want him to take me out every week. I want him to give me flowers. I want him to do this for me. And he doesn't. And it's, of course, disappointing. I'd love my man to take me out every week and give me flowers and everything. But at the same time, I realize maybe it's putting too much pressure and too much expectations. So I'm very realistic about this. Another way how I think about this, role priority lovers, but I also, that lovers, and why I focus on lovers is simply because when we're lovers, that feminine masculine polarity is really strong. Feminine masculine polarity in general, it's a concept that's coming actually from the bedroom. And so when we're in the bedroom, we have that feminine masculine polarity really at play, because in the bedroom you can't have, you always have the surrender and and by the way, I talk about polarity in detail in my webinar, so you can sign up for it, or how to attract a committed masculine man at growskill.com/webinar. But essentially, in the bedroom, there is a great polarity, and I know you know what I'm talking about, because most women, when we are in the bedroom, we want to be taken. Literally, the physical act of penetration. It's a very masculine energy when a man penetrates a woman and a woman receives. There's also polarity in our physicality, in our biology, and how we interact with each other in that way in the bedroom. That's how sexual attraction happens. And a lot of the times, masculine energy dynamic is described by, masculine energy is all about penetrating, means going forward and achieving and success and doing. And then feminine energy is leaning back and letting go and letting him lead, surrendering and receiving. So that's why in the bedroom, it's very clear. Most of the times, right, heterosexual relationships, women want to be taken and surrender and thrown on the bed, thrown against the wall, do whatever you want with me. And men want to take, like this is in our nature. And so when I focus on that in my relationship, then those qualities also are brought into the relationship itself. And that's, the body of work that I've developed in my program and how I work with women it's really focused on that. I've really worked on taking that feminine masculine polarity concept from the bedroom into the relationship. So how can we then show up in the relationships in this way? And so that's really helpful for me, because in my relationship I really then let go and I focus on my man being the protector and the provider, and me surrendering and letting go. And for me, it's very simple. Whenever I get these ideas of, oh, he's not taking me every week on a date, or he's not giving me flowers, he's not asking me what I want, for me, these are all things that, yes, I want, but they're actually not of utmost importance to me, because I know that I have a solid masculine man around me that is a protector and a provider. And then I realize that I can't expect him physically, like he cannot fulfill all of my needs, and I can't expect him to. So then I find ways to actually, and that's what I recommend to women. I'm like, well, are you happy with the protector and the provider in him? Is he fulfilling those basic needs on that level? And if the answer is yes, and he's driving the relationship forward, he is in his masculine energy, and you're happy with that, and that's what you want to focus on, then that's what you focus on, and then see if you can release everything else and find ways and avenues that will fulfill those gaps for you. And a woman can find 100 ways to fulfill her needs. I can tell you right now, this includes things like, where is your circle of women? Where are your girlfriends? A lot of the times when we feel like we need to go out, and like I know when I feel like that, I need something different. I want variety. I want to get out of here. Take me somewhere. I fulfill those needs with shopping, with doing my nails, with going out with girlfriends. A lot of the times, it's also connecting to your creativity, to your femininity in a very sensual way. I do my feminine embodiment movement practice that I also teach women in my program. I connect to my senses on a daily basis. Beauty, right? There's an IG live and an episode on the podcast about how to connect with beauty and why beauty is so important. I try to always, I work from home, and I try to always put on makeup and do my hair and look nice, and that's what I do to fulfill my energy and fulfill my tanks. I go to different events, I take care of myself, I do massage. So there's plenty of things that you can do so that you set your man free, because a man who feels trapped with you, he's not going to stay there for long, or he's going to stay there with you, but it's going to build a lot of resentment, and it's not fulfilling at all. So that's pretty much what I wanted to tell you about it today. Let me know if you have any questions. I have an action step for you. First of all, do you believe that he's your everything? Do you have that rooted within you, or do you expect him to be everything? And how could you shift that around? And some of the things that I shared already with you is, think about the roles that you expect him to play. Like literally take a piece of paper and write down, what are the roles that I expect my man to play? And then ask yourself, do I expect too much? What's really important, and what is the role that I really want to focus on? For me, and I feel like for a lot of women, it's actually the role of a protector and a provider. When I'm protected and provided for, I feel taken care of, that fulfills me on a deeper level. So then other kind of little things here and there, they fall away when I focus on me and when I focus on fulfilling my own needs. A lot of the times, actually, when I remember now, when I would have fights with my husband, which we don't have a lot, but sometimes we do, obviously. Our marriage isn't perfect. A lot of the times, David Deida also says that, when a woman is angry or sad or hurt, it's her deep desire is, her deep need is to feel loved. Most women, when we feel hurt, unfulfilled, or really, angry and bitter at men, We just want to feel loved. We feel that he doesn't care, he disregards us, and we want to feel loved. So that's really important to understand about, for a man, about a woman. And a really good book you can read about David Data's book, that is the foundational concept, in my work of polarity with women, is The Way of the Superior Man, when he talks about that. Now, for men, it's quite the opposite, because women are driven by love, and men are driven by freedom. And so for a man, when he complains about life or something's not working or in the relationship, he's like, he can't, like, a lot of the times he can't even pinpoint what it is. So when a woman is complaining, it's all because she doesn't feel loved. But when a man is complaining, it's all because he doesn't feel free. And so understanding that, then it really helps us dive deeper into what is the cause here, So if you are a woman listening to this, then know that when your man is resentful, doesn't want to talk, there is a constriction, he's not feeling free in a relationship. And when a man is not free in the relationship, that's a recipe for unfulfillment for both. So you as a woman, by not that's why it's so related to what I'm talking about, because you as a woman, by not having all of those expectations on him, you allow him to be free in his own being. And while you focus on yourself and your femininity and find avenues to fulfill your own needs, he feels free and he chooses you. At least that's what I feel with my man. I mean, he actually told me that he feels free with me. And that's, I think, that the biggest compliment to receive from, for a feminine essence woman. If your man tells you that he feels free with you, or if he does feel free with you, that is the biggest thing. And if you know how to do this, and that's what I'm teaching in my program with women, you'll have the biggest success and the biggest fulfillment in a relationship with a man, because unfortunately it's rare. But with principles and these 10 rules of being claimed, hopefully you can get there on your own. And if you can't, you know that I'm here to help you. So let me know if you have any questions. I see one thing from Beatrice. She says, my ex-boyfriend wanted me to be the masculine energy in the bedroom, like the go-getter and the one who initialized, and I am like on my work life. Yeah, that's really interesting, Beatrice. When we think about how these energies work in the bedroom, it's actually how I look at it is 80-20. It doesn't mean, in general, on majority of time, women want to be taken and men want to take. Sometimes, and I would say 20% of the times, the roles reverse. The same thing happens in a relationship. If I prefer my man to be a protector and a provider in a relationship, it doesn't mean that I'm not playing that role sometimes. But the key word here is sometimes, not most of the time. So, in the bedroom, of course, you switch those roles, You can lead, and you could be the penetrator as well, depending on how kinky you are, right? But you can have that masculine presence and energy, be on top, take control and everything. But majority of the time, women prefer to be taken, especially women who work in masculine driven environments, right? When you have to take a lot of control during the day, at night you crave to surrender and let go, and for a man to just take you to places where you can't take yourself, which means you want to surrender to the masculine energy. But sometimes it happens. Now, if a man really wants you to take the lead all the time in the bedroom, like that's what you're talking about, then perhaps he's a feminine energy, a feminine essence man, and that's okay. There are some women who really identify with the masculine with the masculine energy, and there are some men who identify with the feminine essence energy. They are in the minority, but they're there. I see my husband just joined Instagram Live. Hi, husband. It's so weird when he's here. Anyways, so we're at the end now, so it's good that he's joined at the end. Yeah, but those people exist, and that's totally okay. But Beatrice, the question to you, does that work for you? Obviously, if you're raising this question, that means it doesn't really work for you. You don't want to be in that masculine energy all the time. Being in it in the bedroom sometimes, but is okay. But a lot of the times, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be the protector and the provider in my relationship. String, stop talking to me on Instagram. You get me distracted. I don't want to do that. It's exhausting. Like, it's not me, and it's not most women. So, it's totally up to you and you choose. But if you feel that that's the dynamic, I would really work on that dynamic, either shifting that dynamic so he is the one who is leading and getting into his masculine, or you, and how you do that, obviously, we can talk another time. Okay, Beatrice, I answered your question, so moving on. All right, so I think that's it for this rule. The next one, the next rule tomorrow is rule number 5. Which is trust actions, not words. And that's going to be, if you're listening to the podcast, that's going to be the next one, the next episode. And I love this because, ladies, we need to trust men to trust their actions and not words. And this is a very important concept to also understand. So, all right, so I stopped my episode recording. Now, if you've had any questions, please let me know. I'll give you another 30 seconds to kind of see if you have any questions in regards to this particular rule that, he's not your other half. Again, to summarize, do not expect your man to be everything for you. This would lead to a lot of exhaustion, conflicts, and so on. Choose one role and just focus on that. What is your role priority? For me, it's being lovers with my man and also having him as that protector and a provider. It's actually very simple. And if you focus on that, then that's what you're going to get. And then the bickering stops, and then find ways to fulfill your other needs, like I want a girlfriend, and see in your body what needs to be fulfilled, and then fulfill that in many different ways. As women, there are 100 ways how you can connect to your creativity, to your femininity, to your body, on many, many different ways. So, okay, I don't see any questions coming up, so I think I'm going to finish here. This video is going to be saved on IGTV, so please check that out, and I'll see you tomorrow. It's going to be 8 p.m. again Pacific, with rule number 5, trust actions, not words. All right, ladies, have a great night, day, or wherever you're at, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.